What is good, Raider Nation? It's your boy Raider Alex back with another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about running back Josh Jacobs. We're going to be talking about how Jacobs is really making a profound statement to the Raiders, essentially showing them, demanding them why they need to pay this man. Let's talk about Jacobs and his contract situation. Before I get started on that, anybody that is new to the channel and you guys love Raiders related content like this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. With that being said, let's jump right into it. Now, running back Josh Jacobs is coming off an absolutely legendary performance against the Seattle Seahawks, where he ended the game in overtime with an 86-yard walk-off touchdown run. Josh Jacobs ended the game with 33 carries, 229 rushing yards, and 6 receptions for 74 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jacobs finished the game with over 300 yards in total yardage, which is a Raiders franchise record. Needless to say, Jacobs had a hell of a game, but let's be honest, he's also had a hell of a season. Like, before the season started, I was very optimistic about Josh Jacobs. I thought Jacobs would have a strong year, especially entering a contract year, the last year on his rookie deal. And after the Raiders declined his 5th-year option, I knew he was going to come into this season very motivated. But even then, I did not expect him to have the numbers he is having thus far, and for him to essentially be the heart and soul of this offense, especially also when you look at it with how many running backs we have on this roster. I would have expected more distribution in the snaps and the carries between these other running backs, but nope. Jacobs has been the absolute focal point of this rushing attack, which really should tell you a lot about what McDaniels thinks and what he has seen from Jacobs thus far this season. Jacobs is leading the entire National Football League in rushing yards with 1,159 yards and 9 rushing touchdowns. Now, with all this being said, the question is, should the Raiders open up the checkbook and sign this man, Josh Jacobs? Now, I'm going to be totally honest and transparent. In the past, I have not been an advocate to signing Jacobs to a long-term deal. Just in general, I have never loved the idea of signing a running back to a big contract just due to the nature of the position. When you're talking about running back, it's one of the most abusive positions for a player to play in, and typically most running backs will fall off after their rookie contract is up. Also, we drafted Zamir White, which looked to be like the potential replacement for Josh Jacobs. Now, I will say with Zamir White, we haven't seen him a whole lot this season, but I will say in those minimal snaps, especially against Seattle, he did look good. But anyways, I think it's really getting to the point where I really have to consider my stance on Jacobs. And I think the way he is playing, it's going to be very hard for this team to let Jacobs play anywhere else next season. Also, when you got your best player, Davante Adams, going on camera and essentially saying, pay this man, that also says a lot to me. Because when you're talking about Davante Adams, you're talking about a premier talent, one of the best players at his position, but most importantly to me, he's an absolute professional and a master of his craft. So if Davante is willing to come out and support and make the case for the Raiders that we need to sign this guy, I have to take his word for it. So I think the Raiders have to find a way to keep Jacobs around, and that's where things really get tricky for this team, because we already have a lot of money tied up to the offensive side of the football, and don't forget, we also have a defense that has a lot of holes to address, and I don't think we'll be able to fix this defense through just drafting alone. We're also going to have to invest some money through free agency. So essentially what I'm trying to say is, I think on the offensive side of the football, I think we really are going to have to find a way to trim some fat, free up some cap space for Josh Jacobs. Now, how much will Jacobs demand? Well, that's really going to be determined once he hits free agency, once he hits the open market and other teams make real offers for him. But assuming it doesn't get that far, I think Jacobs will get anywhere from $12 to $14 million per year. Anything more than that, though, I'd be very hesitant to sign that. I don't want to make him the highest paid running back, because almost never that works out for teams when they make that move. Now, ideally, I think Dave Ziegler, the GM, would drop some type of contract that gives him a fair amount of upfront money, a fair amount of guaranteed money, and potentially just give him a base salary of around 10, 11 million, something like that. But a incentivized contract where if he hits certain metrics, he's going to get more money. Look, I certainly would not mind that. I think that would actually be the most ideal thing for the Raiders, because look, I'm 100% willing to pay Jacobs up to $14 million per year, but that's only if he continues to produce all pro numbers like he's doing and he continues to stay healthy and be on that football field. Now, also, there's a chance that Josh Jacobs is willing to take some type of hometown discount for the Raiders. We know he's from Oakland. He also got the Raiders shield tatted on him. But also, that's just pure speculation on my part and on other people's part. Look, I can't be sure of this because as a running back in the National Football League, he plays such a dangerous position, such a short shelf life when it comes to the running back position. So whenever he has an opportunity to make that money to secure his future financially, he needs to do that. So I'm kind of skeptical on whether or not Jacobs is willing to take a hometown discount for us, especially coming off a career year. Now, with this being said, with me saying that somehow, someway we have to find a way to free up some cap space on the offense, honestly, some of the options I'm looking into is tight end Darren Waller. Look, I love Darren Waller, but let's be honest, it's been about a whole calendar year, a little bit more than that if we're going to be honest, since we have seen Darren Waller produce at the level that he is truly capable of. Throughout the past year or so, Darren Waller has suffered injuries that have kept him off the field, and even when he's been on the field, it looks at times like he's not fully there. And also, when it comes to Darren Waller at this point, the way I look at that position, look, it's an incredible luxury to have a talent like Darren Waller as a tight end, as a receiver in the tight end position. It's a great luxury to have, but it's not a necessity to have. You can still win games in the National Football League. You can still produce a good team without a star tight end. The Raiders last year, look, we went on a winning streak without him, and we were able to sneak into the playoffs. And this year, the Raiders, the offense has been able to put up points. And as we have seen these last couple of weeks, this offense is starting to gel, and this is all without Darren Waller on the field. But with Waller, it's also tricky because what do you do with him? You could either try to trade him, which I don't think we can get a whole lot of value for Darren Waller just because he has a higher contract now. He hasn't been performing. He's been injured. So you're not going to get what you want for him if you try to trade him. This next offseason, we could cut him, we could release him, but then you'd be hit with an $8 million cap hit, which that's not ideal. Or another possibility could be that you franchise tag Josh Jacobs next year. Jacobs' franchise tag would be about $12.8 million. And the only reason I bring this up is because you basically buy yourself another year to get that Jacobs deal fixed up. And in 2024, that is the offseason where the Raiders have a potential out with Darren Waller. That's where you can move on from him. If you decide to cut him, it's only going to be a $495,000 cap hit. But also, the situation is very tricky because you don't want to send the wrong message to Josh Jacobs. He's already been begging to get paid. By franchise tagging him, you could seriously affect the relationship between Josh Jacobs and his new regime. Franchise tagging may send the wrong message, may show him that, look, we're still not committed to you. We're just trying to buy another year, and eventually we're going to try to screw you over. Look, I can definitely see why Jacobs would not be happy if we try to franchise tag him. So, I mean, it's interesting. There's so many different ways you can come up with for this GM, Dave Ziegler, to free up some cap space. Look, you can even try restructuring certain contracts with players. A possibility would be Derek Carr, but I doubt that's going to happen. Anyways, all I know is the Raiders need to find a way to bring back Josh Jacobs. And in my opinion, in order to do so, I think we're going to have to free up some cap space somewhere on this offense, because we still got to build that defense. If you want to compete in the National Football League, you have to have a competent defense. We need to get more talent on that side of the football. But Raider Nation, let me know what you guys think. Should we re-sign Josh Jacobs to a long-term deal? If so, how much are you willing to pay Josh Jacobs? Let me know in the comment section down below. But with that being said, Raider Nation, that is all I have for you guys in today's video. Anybody that is new to the channel and you guys love Raiders related content like this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next one.